Weapons. Last night at 2:17 a.m, every child from Mrs. Gandy's class woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and they never came back. So this film was directed by Zach Cregger, and it stars Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, Amy Madigan, and Carrie Christopher. Weapons is directed by the same guy who did Barbarian from a couple of years ago, and even as someone who was mixed at best on Barbarian, I was still super excited for Weapons because I knew nothing about it aside from the synopsis that I just gave you, and I just thought it had so much potential to be a crazy, wild, and twisted ride. And a crazy, wild, and twisted ride Weapons was. One that I enjoyed so much that it may very well end up being my favourite film of the year. And starting off with what I loved about Weapons, the premise. That premise, as soon as I heard that premise, I was like, I am there. Like, I don't need to see anything else. I don't need to see any posters. Don't need to see any trailers. I avoided all of the trailers, and the only poster that I saw was the main one, which was just, the kids running down the street. I just was so enthralled with whatever it was that Zach Cregger was going to serve me, because it's such an oddly specific premise. Like, exactly at 2:17, only these kids from like this one classroom. What the fuck is happening? And another thing that I love about it is that it gets your imagination going. Like, that is all you need to be in. You're like, what exactly is going on here? Is it going to be something like a Stranger Things sort of thing where they accidentally go through to another portal? Are they afflicted by something? Are they being drawn to something? What the hell is happening? Are they going to be used for some fucked up government resource or something like that? Like, there's so many possibilities that it could be, that even before you watch the movie, it has you thinking. It provides so much food for thought. And also, missing person stories, for some reason, well, not for some reason, they are scary. They scare me. There is something really, really creepy about someone all of a sudden being there, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and you don't have any idea where they went, and you're just left scratching your heads. They've just disappeared, like Gone Girl or Prisoners. It just gets under my skin. I was a huge fan of how this film was paced as well. Now, it is slow paced, but it's never boring. And I think the way it manages to not be boring at all, despite the fact that the first half, while still having a lot of creepy moments and weird imagery and fucked up shit happening, there's not actually a lot of plot development in the first half. A lot of the characters are just as clueless as you are as the audience. And the reason that works so well is because it gives you time to simmer in all of the theories. You came into the film wondering what the hell's going on, and the first half is in no hurry to give you any answers. So you're just sitting there thinking and theorizing. And it's so creepy and investing. I was just constantly asking, what the hell is going to happen next? And eventually the pacing, obviously, it does kick up, and eventually you do learn things. But I was just such a big fan of how it really just lets you sit in your own twisted, morbid, fucked up theories before telling you what's really going on. Zach Cregger directs the fuck out of this. I mean, he did a great job directing Barbarian. There are so many memorable shots and sequences and so much memorable imagery in that film, even if I do think it completely floundered its third act. But he brings all of that expertise over to Weapons as well. There is some amazing tracking shots. There's one inside a liquor store in particular that really got under my skin, and it was almost not a fake out, but it ended up being a matter completely unrelated to the main plot. But it still just got me so tense. And there's other times when the camera just chooses to linger for a very, very, very long time, and you won't necessarily see anything, but then you hear something, and it sends a shiver down your spine. One of my favorite films of all time is Vertigo. So whenever I see a Vertigo zoom pop up in a movie or a TV show, I am always so happy to see it. And the ones that are very sparingly, it's not like a they do it all the time. But when there is a vertigo zoom in this film, when something insane happens and you're seeing a character's reaction to it, it hits hard and it looks awesome. Weapons also has a bunch of excellent scares. There are some jump scares in here that are admittedly predictable, but the predictability of it is why it's so effective, because you're just sitting there anticipating it. And the way they're all executed is never lackluster. All of the jump scares in this film really got me, even though I was anticipating it. That anticipation made me go, when's it gonna happen? And then just like a fucking Jack in the Box popping out, and it got me on more than one occasion. And not only does Zach Cregger just have a really good understanding of what makes jump scares so effective, there is also just a lot of creepy imagery in this film that is just eerie to look at. Like, just the imagery and watching from like the Ring doorbell cameras of these kids running out is really, really unsettling. And it's just like, that's the last thing you see of these kids before they're never seen again. And that's, opening 10 minutes sort of stuff that you see. And it is just so creepy. And then there is so much more later on in the film that I'm not going to talk about at all, because I recommend watching this film just as blind as a bat. But yes, this movie is very, very creepy. And alongside the scares is a really, really nice serving of humor. Now, it's not like that common throughout the film. I wouldn't call it a comedy horror per se, but there are just little moments of humor that never undercut the tension, but complement it. And I don't want to say how, but there are some really, really good physical gags here that are just, yes, it's disturbing, but it also has a funny side to it. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that it never crossed over into just kind of goofy, cartoonish bullshit like Barbarian did in its third act for me. I feel like Zach Cregger got the balance right here between comedy and horror. And there are just other little bits of comedy in here that is so inconsequential to the overall plot. Like, you've got, there's a gay couple in the film and they're at the supermarket together, and what bloody cereal do they get other than Fruit Loops? And they're waving it up and saying, yeah, put that in there. And then they go home and they make themselves some lunch and they have 4 hot dogs each. It's nothing that's like, a real big part of the film. It's just little moments of comedy in there that really got a good laugh out of me. Interestingly enough, I love the cast here. Now, the reason I say interestingly enough is because aside from Benedict Wong's character, all of the main adult characters are horrible. They are despicable people. And yet, I still kind of enjoyed being around them. I enjoyed seeing what the hell was going to happen to them. It's not that I didn't care or that I wasn't on the edge of my seat, but it was like, it never made the movie unpleasant. It was kind of like, I'm tense, but if something really fucked up's going to happen to this character, I'm there to see it. I'm keen for it. It really makes a lean into sort of fun horror by being so misanthropic in a weird way. And I thought Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Amy Madigan, Benedict Wong, they all did a great job here. And finally, I'm going to be completely vague and not say anything, give no detail whatsoever. This movie sticks the landing. It lands the plane so well. And I almost just wanted to get up and applaud at the end, because the way this thing wraps up was awesome. And as far as things that I don't like about Weapons, I've really been sitting here and thinking about what I dislike about this film, and I'm struggling to think of any. There might be like some tiny nitpicks that really don't bother me that maybe I could point out, like maybe a couple of tiny inconsistencies with the plot and what's going on, but like really, I couldn't care less. I had to think for a while to kind of pick out if there is any plot holes, and yes, there are, but like they're not consequential at all, and they're so small in the grand scheme of things that I didn't even notice, and I quite frankly do not care about those tiny little nicks. So overall, Weapons is another addition into what has been an unbelievably great decade for horror. The amount of money that this film is making is, honest to God, history making. It made like $70 million in its opening weekend alone, and Longlegs was praised for being a success last year, and that film made a bit over $100 million in its entire run, which is still really impressive, but that just shows how unbelievably well Weapons is doing. And it's so good to see so many people show up to the cinema and support original horror. And like Sinners and like Longlegs and like The Substance, Weapons is proof that the horror genre is currently at the top of its game, and I am so here for it. Weapons is top notch. Thank you so much for watching my review on Weapons. It's good to be back and doing reviews again, and I'm gonna hopefully get a full-on Dexter review series leading up to the release of the culmination of Dexter Resurrection. So look forward to that. Please check out Weapons if you haven't seen it already, and I will see you all later. Bye.